I've had a lot of people ask me about this drum kit over the year and a half or so that I've had it. So I thought I'd make a review video of it and get my thoughts out there. This is the very portable Tama Club Jam Suitcase. And just for transparency, I bought this drum kit with my own money. Tama, or any other company for that matter, has no say in this video. This is all my own unsponsored opinion. Okay, so first up, here's what you get. I bought a kind of combo package where you got some extra bits and pieces of hardware, but it is available just with the drums and the basic hardware as well. I believe that these are poplar shells, and you get a 10 by 7 inch rack tom, a 12 by 6 inch floor tom, and then a 16 by 15 inch kick drum, all wrapped up in a lovely sparkly blue finish. It does also come with some Tama branded heads, which are fine to get you started. Mine came with a hi-hat stand, a drum stool, a kick pedal, not this one, and then a clamp for the rack tom, and then the legs for the floor tom and the legs for the kick drum. And then finally you get this little drum riser thing, which makes it possible to play such a small kick drum with a pedal. And it's pretty decent. It just kind of slots onto the kick drum rim, and you can fasten it in place with a drum key, tighten it like that. And it's also height adjustable. And there's a bit of a lip at the bottom, which is for your kick drum pedal to screw onto. It's actually got a little rubber pad on there as well to, I guess, for some extra protection. And you can probably see that there's a little groove cut out of the kick drum rim. That's just so that the pedal can move properly and doesn't bash into the rim. So yeah, all that comes in the box. What it doesn't come with, which I didn't realise, is this little cymbal arm which mounts to the kick drum. And it was my own fault. It was quite clear on the seller's website that it didn't come with that. I just didn't read it properly. So I bought it separately just because it adds to the compactness. It just slides right in there. It's really convenient. This is obviously an incredibly portable kit. That's kind of its thing. If you don't know, the kick drum splits into two pieces, and then the other two drums fit inside that for storage or for transportation or whatever. And then when you set it up, the legs of the kick drum screw into these little clamps on either side, and that's what lock the two halves together. And this was one of the main selling points for me for this kit. If you're looking at buying one, then it most likely is for you too, I would imagine. But it's such a great feature of this kit, honestly. Like, I kind of wish all drum kits did that. It's amazing for taking to gigs. I can fit everything into 3 kind of moderately sized cases. So some kind of trolley or something. I could probably even take it on public transport if I wanted. And I even went the extra mile with it and paired it with the Yamaha Crosstowner lightweight cymbal stand and snare stand. So it's even lighter. I'm all for that. I feel it's the future, or at least my future. The drums, at least, are pretty decent and fairly well finished. All the fixtures and fittings and things seem quite solid. I really don't have any complaints, to be honest, especially for the price. Although mine did come with some extra complimentary sawdust, presumably fresh from the sawing in half of the kick drum. The hardware that comes with the kit isn't the best quality by any means, but what it is lightweight, and it's more or less, again, what I would expect for this price range. To be honest, I've used it fairly heavily over the past year and a half, and I haven't had any problems or breakages or anything thus far, and everything feels pretty solid and sturdy. So as long as you look after it and with reasonable use, I can't really see there being any issues with that side of it. The only thing that I did notice that kind of worries me is this kick drum mounted cymbal arm here. I have a pretty big, heavy ride cymbal. So just from the way that this is mounted on here and the amount of weight that's kind of going down on there, I'm just a bit worried that over time it's going to start to sort of warp part of the kick drum. So what I've been doing to try and kind of minimize that is either take the cymbal off when I'm done playing so there's not constantly weight pushing down on it, or sometimes for practice I use this smaller, lighter crash cymbal, which actually works quite well. And I guess, of course, I can always just get another lightweight cymbal stand at some point for the ride and stick a splash on there or something. It's not really a big deal. Obviously, this is very subjective in many ways, but I wanted to use this drum kit to record videos, covers, instructional things, that sort of thing. So it was really important that it at least looked good to me. And I actually really like the colour and the sparkly finish. I think it looks especially good under lighting and stage lighting and that kind of thing. And I think that these sort of wooden accents on the kick drum are a really nice touch. It kind of smartens it up a little bit, which can actually be really important, especially if you're playing at like higher end dues, corporate events, weddings, that sort of thing. It's just good to know that it's not going to stand out and look a bit tatty. So yeah, like, I'm pretty happy with that side of it. Also, I do have another drum kit which is also sparkly, so it does kind of fit in quite well with that. This is obviously also very subjective, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to record a bit from the kit, just completely raw, no processing, straight out of the mics, so then you can make up your own mind about the sound and what you could get out of this. Just so that you know, the heads that I'm using here are, I've got Aquarian Super 2s on the toms, and on the resonance side, I've just got the heads that came with the kit. On the kick drum, I have a Remo Power Stroke 3, which is actually a tom head. I found it a little bit tougher to get hold of 16-inch kick drum heads. That's actually a good point to make. Generally, I would use something a little bit thicker on the kick drum, really, or preferably a kick drum head. Up until recently, I was using this Aquarian Performance 2, which is also a tom head, actually. But it's a lot thicker, but obviously it kind of died on me a bit. So... But yeah, I have some of the Remo Slammer Flam pad things that you get, you know the ones, especially since I've been using double kick a lot more recently, so hopefully just to add a bit more durability to the thing. As for the mics that I'm using, I have an AKG D112 on the kick drum. I actually have Shure SM58s on the toms, just because that's what I have, an SM57 on the snare, and then for the overhead, I have an AKG 414, a single mono one, because that's all I have, okay? I'm sure it's more than good enough to get a feel for the kind of quality you can expect from this kit. And then I'm just going into my Focusrite interface and recording into my laptop. Oh, and I do have affiliate links nowadays for the drum kit and some of the other gear that I'm using. I'll put those down in the description box of the video below, and if you click on those and buy something, I will get a tiny amount of money back from that. So it's a really great way to help out a small channel like this. And I really appreciate that because I really love doing this and I want to try and do more of it. So if you do use those... Anyway, drums, play, yes. So yeah, it does depend on what I'm playing as to what kind of heads and what sort of tunings I'll use. So now I've got some Remo Ambassador coated heads on here. I've tuned them up a little bit higher, just to give a different example of a more sort of resonant tone that you could expect to get out of this kit if that's what you're going for. Anyway, I would always recommend sort of experimenting with different heads and tunings and find out what works best for you. But yeah, let's do that. So what did you think? Comment, discuss, let me know. My opinion is I was surprised at how good it sounded, to be honest. The floor tom in particular, when seeing how shallow it was a bit of a concern for me, but honestly I was pleasantly surprised by it. I think the kick drum has a nice punch to it, and overall they have quite a decent sound. I've actually ended up doing quite a lot of recording with this kit as well, way more than I expected, both for my own YouTube channel and recording sessions for various other artists as well. I could actually play a few clips of those now as well, so you can get an idea of the sort of sound you can get from this when fully mixed and processed and all the rest of it. But if you want more examples of that, you can always go and watch some of my other videos. I mean, just a suggestion. Also, those little transitions you've been hearing throughout the video. I've also ended up using it as my main gigging kit as well recently, which I also didn't expect. And I must say I've had like overwhelmingly positive feedback from various different band members and sound engineers as well. So I'm really confident that it does the job well. Of course, you do lose a little bit of depth and kind of low-end boominess with these sized drums, like that's just physics. But what I found is you actually don't miss that too much, especially if you're playing on a wooden stage, which tend to be quite resonant anyway. You don't always need so much of that boominess. What they do have is a lot of punch, which I'm a fan of. And I figured I could always just swap this out for a bigger floor tom if ever I needed to, but quite honestly, I haven't found the need to as of yet, so it's pretty much all good. But anyway, this has been a really great portable little setup for me, and if that's the kind of thing that you're after, and you don't mind a few of the small compromises that come with it, I'd really recommend it. So I think that about covers it, really. Hopefully this was a somewhat useful look at the Tama Club Jam Suitcase kit. If so, do click the old thumbs up button, as it does all really help. And if you like what I'm doing on here, then feel free to subscribe. But yeah, I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think, and see you next time.